Robert Kiyosaki knows too much stuff, and it's probably a reason why his book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, is one of a kind. His bold predictions about crypto and the general markets are somewhat scary, yet also reasonable. We're not going to deny the words of a profound author now, are we? And let's see what's going on first. In a recent appearance on Fox Business, Anthony Pompliano suggested that a significant Bitcoin bull run is on the horizon. Pompliano is a well-known figure in the Bitcoin space, and he shared his insights on the future of Bitcoin and why he believes it's primed for another surge. Pompliano began discussion by highlighting the recent volatility in the market, with Bitcoin experiencing a season of fluctuation in recent months. Yet he emphasized that this is not unusual for the market and is part of the asset class's nature. Pompliano further explained that such a volatility should not deter investors from considering Bitcoin as a long-term investment. One of the key factors fueling Pompliano's optimism is the growing institutional interest in Bitcoin, which was one of the factors that made the 2021 bull run look pretty. This year, numerous prominent companies, including BlackRock and Fidelity, have filed a spot for Bitcoin's ETF with the SEC, suggesting a shift in the perception of Bitcoin from a speculative asset to a legitimate store of value. Pompliano believes that a spot Bitcoin ETF will be approved by the end of the year, while more institutions also recognize the value of holding Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation and economic uncertainty. So far, these have been the root of Robert Kiyosaki's emphasis. Also, Pompliano discussed the potential for Bitcoin to disrupt traditional finance institutions and argued that Bitcoin's decentralized nature and borderless accessibility could challenge the dominance of central banks and traditional finance intermediaries. Acknowledging the regulatory challenges that Bitcoin faces, Pompliano believes that innovation would ultimately prevail, and Bitcoin will play a significant role in the future of finance. Anthony Pompliano's optimism about a forthcoming Bitcoin bull run is based on the growing institutional adoption, international recognition, and the potential for Bitcoin to reshape the financial landscape. As Bitcoin continues to evolve and mature, it remains a subject of great interest and debate among investors and financial experts. However, it's not all rain and sunshine for Bitcoin. The cryptocurrency could be ready for a squeeze to low price zone in the days to come, according to liquidity analysis and market makers' behavior by a renowned crypto trader on X. This expected short-term pump would anticipate a massive liquidation event down to a sub $24,000 for Bitcoin. Notably, this same crypto analyst managing the Crypto account has been showing a high level of accuracy in his trading technical analysis, as seen in the last reported prediction of a fake dump for Bitcoin's price, before a short squeeze, which was made on August 28. Also in June, as the continuously bleak predictions for the future of the United States economy continue, the prominent investor and author of best-selling personal finance book Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, has repeated his gloomy warnings and mistrust of the current government, which he believes is not working in the people's interests. Kiyosaki has not been wary of making outrageous and bold statements. Kiyosaki also uttered some scathing words for the US Federal Reserve and other parts of the country's government, calling them the Addams Family and cartoons killing the economy, which is in serious trouble, in his The Rich Dad channel podcast. He was discussing the financial outlook of the US with his wife and fellow investor Kim Kiyosaki and Naomi Prince, and he comments an author of Permanent Distortion, How Financial Markets Abandoned the Real Economy Forever, arguing that it was the commercial banks running the Fed behind the scenes. The financial investor voiced his opinions that the Fed was not our friend, and that it came to being with a purpose to save banks, as he noted that the institution was lying to people just to keep them from running to the banks and yanking their money out as fast as possible. If you're counting on the Fed to save our butts, I think we're in trouble. The real problem is really our debt, and we cannot cover it. So the solution of the Fed is to keep printing, and they just took the ceiling off. They said, "We're just going to print forever right now," he said. In late September, the Fed has decided to hike rates once again, according to reports. Joe Biden and the Democrats in the office have contributed greatly to inflation and other problems due to their lackluster and outright failing economic policies. And the Fed has constantly been forced into a position of pushing rates more north as a means of fighting the problems being caused by this administration. This is what Kiyosaki badly detests. Whenever this happens, the price of Bitcoin takes another nasty fall, and this time is no exception. Also, Robert Kiyosaki has set forth remarkable predictions about Bitcoin's future, envisioning Bitcoin reaching $100,000 and potentially an astonishing $1 million per coin. Kiyosaki's perspective positions Bitcoin as the people's money, contrasting it with gold and silver, which he terms as God's money. His firm belief stems from a unique analysis of global economic scenarios and the evolving financial landscape. Kiyosaki suggests that if traditional markets like stocks and bonds experience a significant crash, Bitcoin's value could soar to $100,000. In a more extreme case of the global economic collapse, where gold can be valued at $75,000 per ounce and silver at $60,000, Kiyosaki speculates that Bitcoin might potentially surpass $1 million. These scenarios are rooted in his observations of currency dynamics and historical events. In fact, he said, Bitcoin to 100K, saying for years gold and silver is God money, Bitcoin's people's money. Bad news if the stocks and bonds markets crash, gold and silver skyrocket. Worst news if the economy crashes, BC 1 million gold, 75K, silver to 60K. Savers of fake US dollars effed, debt too high, mom, pop, and kids. Kiyosaki had previously tied his Bitcoin predictions to events like the BRICS meeting, speculating about a new gold-based global trading currency. He believes this could propel a worldwide shift away from the US dollar, while his recent tweets emphasize the historical significance of gold and silver. Kiyosaki's broader views on financial shifts indirectly indicate his bullish stance on Bitcoin's future price performance. Robert Kiyosaki has also sounded the alarm about hyperinflation on a recent podcast, with guest Andy Seckman. He stated that the US dollar will be devalued to the point where it will no longer be the world's reserve currency. So there are going to be quadrillions of dollars coming back, and the ramifications of that are possibly hyperinflation. And this thing, US dollar, goes to trash. This becomes toilet paper, this low dollar here, because there's so much of it out there, he said. So Kiyosaki is no stranger to doom and gloom predictions. While he did release a popular book 25 years ago, he has since adopted a very negative view on the American economy and continues to predict its downfall. Plus, the economy might be in a challenging position with high interest rates and inflation. But most of Kiyosaki's predictions might not come to fruition. However, despite the gloom his predictions have offered, it's quite important to know whether a Bitcoin price increase is firmly tied to the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF. What if things don't work out the way we want? Will Bitcoin still surge without a spot Bitcoin ETF? The often bullish Tom Lee of Fundstrat Global Advisors has pointed out the connection between crypto assets and the wider economic backdrop. He affirmed that the stability of interest rates could usher in more relaxed financial conditions that could bring upside volatility in risky assets, including cryptocurrencies. However, even if a spot Bitcoin ETF does not get green-lighted, Lee still thinks that the flagship crypto still has upside potential due to the upcoming halving event. He said, "You will have a drop in supply again, so the clearing price has to increase, but it won't be six figures." Roughly every 4 years, the Bitcoin rewards awarded to miners for successfully mining a block are slashed by 50% as a way of regulating the blockchain supply economics. The next halving, scheduled for 2024, will reduce the reward to 3.125 Bitcoin per block from the current 6.25 Bitcoin. Other pundits have predicted that 100,000 Bitcoin price tag could come much sooner than many expect, with Blockstream boss Adam Back recently betting that the top crypto will achieve a lofty new high a month before the halving. Now, we have confirmed that not all of Bitcoin's goodness is tied to the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF. If you've been here for the long haul, then the volatile price swing should be a familiar part of your story. But it can only get better from here. Bitcoin will prove that it is indeed a hedge against inflation, according to Robert Kiyosaki. Or, what do you think? Well, that's going to do it for today's video. Make sure you click on the subscribe notification buttons, and we'll see you in the next video.